Global Language Podcast Episode Title: The Day Everything Felt Ordinary Until It Wasn't. Hello everyone. Welcome to Global Language Podcast. This podcast helps you improve your English through stories, real conversations, useful verbs, and shadowing practice. Today's episode is a little different. Instead of a traditional lesson, we will follow a story from a normal day. Inside that story, you will hear real conversations, useful everyday verbs, and important sentences to repeat. So relax, imagine the scenes, and when you hear a sentence repeated, try to say it with me. Let's begin. Part 1. Story. Morning. A normal day begins. It was a quiet Tuesday morning. Daniel woke up at 6:30 a.m., just like he did every weekday. The room was still dark, and the city outside was quiet. For a moment, he stayed in bed and stared at the ceiling. He thought about his schedule for the day. Meetings, emails, deadlines. Nothing unusual. He sat up slowly and checked his phone. A few notifications appeared on the screen. One message from his friend Alex, another from work. Daniel sighed. Some mornings feel heavy before the day even begins. Have you ever felt like that? A moment when you wake up and already feel tired of the routine. Daniel walked to the kitchen and made coffee. The sound of the kettle boiling filled the quiet apartment. He opened the window slightly. Cool morning air entered the room. Sometimes small moments like that feel peaceful. Daniel took a sip of coffee and said quietly, "Another normal day." But he didn't know something interesting was about to happen. Part 2. Conversation. Morning conversation with Alex. At 8:10 a.m., Daniel met his friend Alex at a small cafe near the subway station. Alex was already sitting at a table, scrolling through his phone. "Morning," Daniel said. Alex looked up. "Hey, you look tired." Daniel laughed. "I feel tired." Alex asked, "Did you sleep late again?" Daniel nodded. "Yeah, I stayed up watching videos." Alex smiled. "That's dangerous." Daniel asked, "Why dangerous?" Alex replied, "Because one video becomes 10 videos." Daniel laughed again. "That's true." Then Alex asked something interesting. "Tell me something. Do you feel like your days are always the same?" Daniel thought for a moment. "Honestly, yes. Work, commute, dinner, sleep, repeat." Alex leaned forward. "So why don't you change something?" Daniel raised an eyebrow. "Change what?" Alex shrugged. "Anything." Daniel looked outside through the cafe window. The street was waking up. People were walking quickly. Cars moved slowly through traffic. For a moment, Daniel wondered, what if Alex was right? What if a small change could make a big difference? Part 3. Story continues. Unexpected moment. Later that morning, Daniel arrived at work. The office looked the same as always. The same desks, the same computers, the same conversations. But something felt slightly different in Daniel's mind. He kept thinking about Alex's question. Why don't you change something? During lunch break, Daniel walked outside. He sat on a bench in a small park and watched people passing by. A man was talking loudly on the phone. Two students were laughing about something. A woman walked her dog slowly across the grass. Daniel suddenly realized something simple but powerful. Most people were busy, but very few people looked relaxed. He asked himself a question. When was the last time I tried something new? That question stayed in his mind. Part 4. Conversation. Real-life dialogue. Later that afternoon, Daniel called Alex. "Hey," Daniel said, "I've been thinking." Alex replied, "That sounds dangerous." Daniel laughed. "No, seriously. About what you said this morning." Alex asked, "What part?" "The part about changing something." Alex waited. "So, what are you going to change?" Daniel paused. "I'm not sure yet." Alex said something interesting. "You don't need a huge change, just a small one." Daniel asked, "Like what?" Alex replied, "Maybe try something different after work." Daniel looked around his office. He had spent years doing the same routine. Maybe Alex was right. Part 5. Useful verbs in real situations. 20%. Now let's look at some useful everyday verbs from today's story. These verbs are extremely common in real conversations. Listen and imagine situations where you might use them. Notice. Example: I noticed something strange today. Realize. Example: I suddenly realized I needed a change. Decide. Example: I decided to try something new. Avoid. Example: I try to avoid wasting time online. Improve. Example: I want to improve my daily routine. Consider. Example: I'm considering a different career path. Manage. Example: how do you manage your time? Suggest. Example: my friend suggested a new idea. Explore. Example: I want to explore new opportunities. Focus. Example: I need to focus on what matters. These verbs appear constant. Part 6. Conversation scenario. Real-life dialogue. Let's imagine another conversation. Daniel meets a coworker named Sarah. Sarah asks, "You look thoughtful today. What's on your mind?" Daniel replies, "I've been thinking about my routine." Sarah asks, "What about it?" Daniel says, "I feel like every day is identical." Sarah nods. "That happens to everyone." Daniel asks, "How do you deal with it?" Sarah smiles. "I try to learn something new every week." Daniel asks, "Like what?" Sarah replies, "Anything. A new skill, a new place, even a new book." Daniel pauses. "That sounds simple." Sarah says, "Simple things change life." Part 7. Shadowing practice. 10%. Now let's practice shadowing. Repeat these sentences after me. Small changes can improve your life. Again, small changes can improve your life. Routine can make life feel predictable. Again, routine can make life feel predictable. Trying something new creates energy. Again, trying something new creates energy. Curiosity leads to growth. Again, curiosity leads to growth. One small decision can change your day. Again, one small decision can change your day. Part 8. Final story moment. That evening, Daniel left the office earlier than usual. Instead of going straight home, he walked through a neighborhood he had never explored before. He noticed a small bookstore on the corner. Without thinking too much, he walked inside. The smell of books filled the room. Daniel smiled. Sometimes a tiny decision can create a new experience. And sometimes a normal day becomes a memorable day. All because someone asked one simple question. Why don't you change something? And that brings us to the end of today's episode. In this episode you heard a story about a normal day, real conversations, useful verbs for daily life, and shadowing sentences to practice speaking. If you enjoy learning English through stories, conversations, and real-life language, make sure to subscribe to Global Language Podcast so you never miss the next episode. And remember, sometimes the smallest change can lead to the biggest difference. See you in the next episode of Global Language Podcast.